Kosovo is a republic, an independent, democratic and sovereign state.
With these words, Kosovo made history, its parliament declaring the breakaway Serbian Republic the world's newest country.
On February 17, 2008, Kosovo declared independence from Serbia. Many recognized their independence, including the United States, France, NATO, and Turkey. However, this freedom will not come easily, as Kosovo is one of the poorest regions in the Balkan area, and Serbia is reluctant and stubborn to grant recognition of this bid for independence. Serbia is determined not to lose Kosovo, and will stop at nothing short of a war in preventing Kosovo from gaining its freedom.
Protest and rioting in Belgrade as thousands and thousands of Serbs demonstrated their displeasure at Kosovo's declaration of independence. Among other countries, the United States has already recognized Kosovo, and the U.S. Embassy in Belgrade was swarmed and set on fire.
The question that surrounds this conflict is why. The answer goes back to a time when Ottoman Turks ruled over what is currently the Middle East, and revolves around the homeland of Serbians, and also due to the rich natural resources that Kosovo offers. If they granted Kosovo its freedom, then Serbia would be allowed to join the EU, which would greatly increase their floundering economy, and provide some economic stability to a country whose unemployment rate is about 30%. There is also the fact that 90% of Kosovo's inhabitants are Albanian, longtime enemies of the Serbs. Even though Kosovo is a poor region that was not benefiting Serbia very much before, Serbia is still determined to keep the territory. Kosovo's economy is one of the worst in the world. Its gross domestic product is only $4 billion US, and the average income is only $1,600 per person. On top of that, there is also a massive trade deficit where Kosovo imports 6 times the amount it exports. Kosovo suffers from a 50% unemployment rate, and the living conditions are horrible for the average person. The houses in Kosovo have been described as crumbling shacks. One of the major problems is electricity. The main electric company in Kosovo, KEK, cannot keep up with the demand for more power, resulting in frequent power shortages and leading to it being siphoned off illegally. Businesses are forced to use generators to keep themselves up and running, and it is unclear whether the government will attempt to provide assistance in solving this problem. However, one of the other major problems is that the government is corrupt and disorganized, which means that there is no clear answer as to whether they can organize themselves and work together to solve this problem. The Albanians and the Serbians have never coexisted well, and this hatred of each other stems back centuries. The big dispute between the two groups is who settled in Kosovo first. The Albanians say that they are the descendants of the ancient Illyrians, while the Serbs claim that they inhabited Kosovo first during the medieval times. This is where the whole conflict over independence stems from. The ethnic Albanians, who are the majority population in Kosovo, have long-standing issues with the Serbians, who are the primary people in Serbia. The Battle of Kosovo Field in 1389 is an extremely important date, as this was the battle which immensely weakened Serbia and allowed the Ottomans to gain power in the region, which in turn introduced Islam into the region, and many Albanians converted from Catholicism. This created a rift between the Serbians and Albanians, and the Ottomans began to kill the Serbians. This caused many Serbs to flee their native land of Kosovo in search of safer ground, which was northern Serbia. The Serbians later wanted to avenge Kosovo in the 19th century because of this battle. If Kosovo succeeds in gaining its independence, then Serbia will have lost their homeland, and to them it would be very embarrassing. What is important to keep in mind is that while it is unclear whether the Serbians or Albanians were the first to come to Kosovo, it is a fact that the Serbians first settled in Kosovo before settling in what is now Serbia. It is, in essence, the homeland of the Serbs. There is a great deal of sentimental value in the region for the Serbians, as they established themselves here in the Balkans. The fight for independence has resulted in the Serbian oppression of the Albanians in Kosovo, such as when Slobodan Milosevic first took power in the late 1980s. With the rise of the Serbian Milosevic, many Albanians were fired from their jobs, which were subsequently replaced by Serbians. Milosevic then launched the Serbian army upon the Albanians, following KLA attacks during the mid to late 1990s. NATO responded to these attacks with an airstrike that lasted 79 days. Milosevic eventually gave in and was forced to pull his army out of Kosovo. Another reason why Serbia wants to keep Kosovo is due to the natural resources found in the region. Kosovo is rich in nickel, lead, silver, zinc, and coal, and there is an abundance of mines already in place there. While the economy is very poor there at the moment, Serbia may have plans to fix it. However, this may lead to more ethnic cleansing in the region, as the Serbians would possibly blame all of the economic problems on the simple fact that there are Albanians inhabiting the area. Interestingly, while there is much political debate and tension currently in Serbia, all parties can agree on one thing: not to let Kosovo become independent. However, the two main parties, the Democratic Party and the Democratic Party of Serbia, are divided over how to deal with this heated issue, and this has caused a rift within the politics of the country. Vojislav Kostunica, who was president at the time, and his nationalistic followers advocated not giving any wiggle room to Kosovo, and believed that Serbia should take back the region militarily. However, the Prime Minister, Boris Tadic, believes that Serbia should first join the European Union, and then should fight to regain control of Kosovo. Tadic made a deal with the EU called the Stabilization and Association Agreement, which essentially stipulated that Serbia would work towards EU membership. For Serbia to get into the EU, it would have to recognize Kosovo's independence. Tadic is willing to do this, but once Serbia has become a member, he wants to reignite the fight to get Kosovo back. This agreement enraged President Kostunica and his party because to Kostunica, making this deal with the EU, who recognizes Kosovo as independent, means that the whole country of Serbia accepts Kosovo's independence as well. Tadic disagrees with this, but tensions ran so high that Kostunica resigned, and thus elections were held for a new president on May 11th, earlier than they had been planned.
The Serbian government does not have a unique policy over the important issue on the future of the country. Actually, Kosovo and Metohija are within Serbia. The government, which does not have united policies, cannot function, and that's the end of the government.
It seems that most of Serbia agrees with Kostunica, however, as seen in recent polls. 71% of the country's population would rather have Kosovo back than become part of the EU, and only 64% even believe that joining the EU is important at all. This is not surprising, however, and it relates back to the part of history when there were no Balkan countries but the one Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia was essentially controlled and run by the Serbs, who used harsh tactics to enforce rules and oppressed those who didn't agree with their point of view. After World War II, Yugoslavia began to fall apart, and slowly one by one the minorities seceded to form their own countries. Then the Serbs felt humiliated that they had let this happen. This is part of the reason why they cannot bear to let Kosovo go. Kosovo is the last region that might yet secede, and if they did, it would show how weak the Serbian government is, and they will have lost their homeland, one of the most sacred places in Serbian culture. As of recently, there is no clear ending to this conflict, but it appears that Kosovo is making slow yet steady progress towards independence. If Kosovo does succeed, however, then there will most likely be turmoil in the Serbian government, and if extreme, a coup d'etat. Serbia's main reasons for not allowing Kosovo's independence are basically sentimental, and their strong feelings come from a sacred past where their power was ignored and the separating powers walked all over them. With the help of NATO and other groups, there is a chance that this conflict can be negotiated peacefully, but there is a long way to go on both sides, and both are unbreakable in this stalemate.